Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. I am the founder of Two Asia Matchmakers, a boutique matchmaking company that started in Los Angeles in 2009. I help men all across the US meet an Asian partner. So whether the Asian woman is in the US, LA, Chicago, New York, wherever she is, or in Asia, I help the men find her. Today, I have a guest on my show. He is 25% Thai, 25% Chinese, 50% Filipino, 100% American born and raised. Currently, he is a global inspirational coach, and he specializes in interpersonal communication, anxiety, trust building, self-worth, and navigating life's big challenges. He's originally from the greater New York area. Now he calls Japan his home. I will put all of his information in the show notes. And today we're going to talk the topic of navigating financial compatibility and dynamics in relationships. So welcome to the show, Alan C. How are you?
I'm late for the show.
Your wife is Japanese, correct?
She is 100%. 100% Japanese and 100% mad at me most of the time. So yes, she is. She is.
So, do you guys communicate in English then?
Yes, we both speak English to each other. I do yell at my kids in Japanese pretty well by now, and yeah. So English is not the best language in the world necessarily, but it brings the world together sometimes. So she learned how to speak English in school, so it was helpful to the process.
Oh, I know that you only speak on topics when you're doing talks, when you're coaching your clients. You only talk about topics that you have experience in. And I know one of the topics we'll talk about today is how should someone approach the topic of finances when they're dating? Like, do you do it at the 3-month mark? Do you do at the 6-month mark? I mean, is there a guideline that you can give the audience when to talk about your finances when you're dating exclusively?
I think at some point, someone will bring up the finances anyway. I'll give an example. I have a friend, I won't name his name, but he had a 6-year relationship. The first few years was fine. There was no issues. They made about the same amount, or he was making more at the time. And suddenly she got a 6-figure job, started making way more money. He made a decent salary, but then she started thinking, I'm making more money. She's not catching up. So the conversation started, right? I think it's up to each individual's attitude about money and what they want in a relationship when it may or may not come up. So it's hard for me to address that, but I do know that obviously it is a topic that comes up a lot in a relationship, whether it's 5 years later, whether it's in the beginning. When you're having that sit down of coffee or dinner with somebody, you're gonna, when you start a business with someone or you start a marriage, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have good times. You're gonna have bad times. You're gonna have challenges. Those things will come. I think at the core, I like to tell people you should focus on, do I want to be in this with this person? Good or bad? Do I want to have this bond and this journey with this person? So, for example,
when you're dating somebody, whether it's you're together for 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, you're going to kind of know what their spending habits are to see if you're on the same page about it. Because as we get older in your 20s, late 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're saving money. Hopefully you're saving to buy a house and you're thinking about marriage, and you got to think about this partner. Like, do we have the same kind of spending habits, or is he spending above his means? Is he just using a credit card? Do you know if he has a credit card debt, or does he pay it off every month? And you got to see if you're the same way, how you manage your finances, because I cannot imagine me being with somebody who wants to have all this debt or student loans that they don't make big chunk payments on, or they're buying a car that's, 30% of their take home income, or just living above their
Right.
means. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
I would be able to handle that kind of stress for my life.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound like I'm two different coaches, but I just said just now it's important to find somebody that you want to go do things in the long run with and deal with these challenges. But at the same time, what a lot of people don't realize if they've never been in a serious relationship or especially a marriage is that once you ignite that love, you ignite that connection, um, love has very little to do with a lot of marriages, for example, because you're going to start to deal with family and finances and, like you said, different ways of wanting to do things. And that's actually the more challenging thing is, you know, do I want to am I on the same page with this person? Is there I have nothing against people that if people want to have security and I respect everybody's desires of how they want to be in a marriage relation. If someone said to me, I want to be with somebody because he makes good money and I want to be financially secure, that's cool. I get that. Nothing wrong with that. That's totally understandable from a traditional, typical as time goes by perspective. But eliminate everything you just said about the details of what you just said. I mean, I'm not saying that to be I'm saying is what you're saying to me when I hear you say that is, do I have the same values as this person? Am I on the same page with this person? And even if I'm not on the same page, am I willing to compromise my style to fit their current situation and their style? Two people could be very much in love, but what if somebody did have a $200,000 college debt and they were okay with that debt? They might not be okay with that. Not that they don't care about the person, but they might not be okay with that lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why compromising in a relationship is very important, because you're either going to compromise or you're not. And you're going to and things change, right? Sometimes people get a better job later. Sometimes people go bankrupt later. You have to adapt. But I always go with the philosophy, you obviously have to do what's best for you, though.
So what are the signs of financial compatibility or incompatibility in your experience when you're coaching your clients?
Um, I can't say based on you obviously get. I think transparency is very important, whether you like it or not. Like if you have a debt, don't hide it, right? Because you don't want to like say 2 years later, hey, honey, I didn't want to tell you, because that's not good. You want to be transparent the best you can. But I think it's more about, okay, well, this is the information I have for now, and how do I want to respond to this? How do I want to move forward, take a chance, not take a chance? This is your game. This is your life. You play with somebody else, but in the long run, it's your life. You're the only one in the mirror every day that, you're the only person, you're the only relationship that is always there. So I can't really give advice about finding signs. I think it's just more about comfortability, transparency, and just really responding how you want to based on your values, based on what you want. And honestly, if you're fighting about money that much, if you're fighting about anything that much, a strong relationship shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that much of a clash all the time, because the money isn't necessarily the problem. It's the different value systems you have, the different outlooks of the world you have that are not being compatible with that particular person.
So when you're dating, would you look to see how his or her spending habits are, to see if, okay, can I realistically live like this? Can I afford first class if he only wants to fly first class? Can I not use a valet, or if he really likes the valet or spends a lot of money on Uber, or he's very wasteful with things? Like, is that how you would find out if you're compatible or not in your how you view money and how you spend money? while you're dating?
I think what ends up happening a lot is that when people see this and they're not compatible with it, they might be able to show the other person a certain way of how they would go about things that might actually be a benefit to that other person. So, for example, my mother made a lot of money, but she was so gullible, nicest woman in the world. Where I remember one time she walked into a Mercedes-Benz store with her car dealership with her friend, and ended up coming out with a very, very expensive car, not even knowing what she signed. It's just like, sure, I got a gold Mercedes now. I don't know why I bought this, but I have it, right? And she was a bit, flivorous with, she always spent her money all over the place, and not because she was a shopper, she just really was clueless about how to manage money. And so when my stepfather came into the picture, he was very, I don't like the way you spend. You make money, but I don't like the way you spend your money. And so he provided his outlook on the way money, if he had it, should be managed. And she, instead of like arguing with him about this is the way I do it, she was receptive, like, yeah, or maybe you could even help me. So I think that if you don't like the way someone is going about when it comes to finances, you can always give, because if you're a team and you care about each other, if someone is telling you that they're not attacking you, they're not criticizing you, they're caring enough to give their take on it. You can respectfully take it or not. Of course, you don't have to do what someone says, but I think if you come about it more from a team effort, like, hey, maybe I could curb the first class sometimes, not all the time. Maybe you can find a balance of merging the two worlds together, right? Where, hey, I never fly first class. It's nice to fly first class on Christmas once in a while. And wow, I've saved a lot of money. So instead of clashing about how different you are, maybe you can, like mixed martial arts, right? You can find a way to throw that elbow while getting that Brazilian jiu-jitsu maneuver in. So that would be my take. If two people are very extreme on both sides, then obviously you'll have a problem.
So,
It's not a thing about love, it's about lifestyle.
do you think there are cultural differences in the way people spend money? I mean, you come from a very
Yes,
diverse
yes,
background,
yes,
so
yes, yes. I think there's a huge, I don't know every culture in the world, obviously. I'm very entangled in Japan. I'm obviously American. So there's many, like, for example, I ordered my daughters really wanted a pizza. And I'm like, yeah, there's one 20-minute walk. We'll go down there. And my other daughter was waiting for the pizza. And I'm like, you know what? They have delivery motorcycles. I'll just pay the guy $5 so he can get my younger daughter a pizza like that so she can eat, right? And my wife was like, you cannot spend $5 whole on a delivery. She can wait. You need to bring the money was more important than the hunger and the time. And I think culture plays a big, it might be a little different, it might be very different, but sure, I think it has an impact on the way people save money, use money, things of that nature. Sure. So, I mean, again, I'm not an expert on every culture or how they spend their money, but I think it does play, it definitely plays a role. That's why they say international relationships can be the most challenging, but also obviously rewarding because you are merging worlds together and you're getting to get exposed to other people's culture. But yeah, 100%, I'm sure culture plays a factor
so what
when it
are the
comes to
pros and cons of interracial relationships, international relationships?
Yeah. So I have a lot of young people come to me go, wow, Alan, it'd be great to date someone from overseas. And I have a lot of older people that have been divorced that go, oh yeah, these are the problems. So let me go with let me be a positive guy here. I'm an inspirational coach, right? Let me be the positive guy. Pros is that you get open to a whole new world, right? Like, look, nothing wrong with dating your fellow Americans or your fellow whatever, but like, I've gone out with different women from different cultures. And so if you're an American and you're dating a Japanese woman or you're dating a Filipino woman, you might end up in the Philippines. Well, I never thought I'd go to the Philippines. Now I'm in the Philippines and I'm immersed in their culture. And so you're getting exposed to these wonderful things besides the person, right? and opening your mind more as well. And obviously, if you have a child later, but you'll have um, I'm having like 3 birthdays for my children, one in Thailand, one in Philippines, one in Japan. So you have this international celebration of many things. And so the difficult side, the con is that I won't really call it a con. The challenge is that, we all grew up in a certain environment, a certain culture, and it could be very different from that other culture. And there might be some things that you don't agree with, you don't like, and that can be hard. You have to either, hey, I got to give in, we got to follow your way, or we got to compromise. And a lot of people don't like to do that. And that can be very challenging for, even if you love the person, that can be very, very, very hard to do, to adapt to something that um, you're not used to, or you didn't expect. So I think you have to be, I would give the best, if I could go back to my younger self, right? The advice I would give is learn as much about that culture, not about like the anime or the manga or whatever that culture provides, or the martial arts or the food. Learn about the relationship dynamics when it comes to marriages and dating in that culture. So, not saying you necessarily need to abide by all of them, but you won't be as shocked, and you'll be more prepared to navigate that international relationship. So if I asked someone to come to Japan and they've never been here and they don't know too much about Japan, I'm not saying they're not going to enjoy it, but if they read a book about it, they watch a couple of YouTubes about it, talk to Japanese people or people that have been here, obviously they will be more prepared and maybe even enjoy it more, because they have been they've got prepped up about what to expect, good and bad.
What's the
Coming back.
biggest difference that you've noticed dating when you were dating your wife, who's Japanese, in Japan versus dating a Japanese woman in the US?
So I've never dated a Japanese woman in the US, but I have a friend that has, and also has children with, he's had this experience where he's had a traditional Japanese, his first child was with a traditional Japanese person, and then an American born Japanese person, second child. It's totally different. It's totally different, because even though DNA wise, yes, they're Japanese, but culturally speaking, the other person grew up as an American person,
Yeah.
or at least the majority of her life. So she will be relatable to you on that cultural level, but the other person will have a more, obviously a more encompassed Japanese style that might have a bit more difference, right? A little more, you can't relate to you as much from your culture. So yeah, there is absolutely not looks wise perhaps, but mindset wise, and how they conduct themselves culturally, emotionally, personality wise. Yeah, it's definitely going to be different.
Do you suggest that men go to Japan to meet a Japanese woman?
I don't think that's necessary, because the online, it's amazing that, like, you and I are speaking, right? I'm in Japan. It's early in the morning. The technology is quite amazing, where we can connect with people. I think that I was just having this conversation with a group of people yesterday about long distance relationships, right? I've done long distance relationships. And so, whether you're next to somebody physically at a bar or at a church or at a dinner in Tokyo, or you're talking to them on the phone from New York City, I'm not saying don't go to another country or don't be with a person, but I think you can establish those kind of, you if you have a strong relationship or you have a connection, I don't think it really matters where that starts, whether you're physically together or you're just on the phone. I think if it's there, it's there. And then obviously you can build off that, right? Well, I really enjoyed speaking to you on the phone. Like, I feel like I'm gonna go take a trip and visit some friends in Japan. And so be a good opportunity for us to meet. One time I flew halfway across the world to ask someone out on a date because I was crazy about her. 2 bags of luggage of flowers and gifts and all. Came back rejected, a broken man. Very painful. no Facebook back then. No, I flew on a plane, paid $1,000, flew back, completely rejected, ate my own chocolate. If the girl is in your neck of the woods or they're halfway across the world, I think the more important thing is you connect with them. You connect with them. If you feel connected, make it happen. If you don't feel connected, so for me, distance is nothing. It doesn't mean anything to me. For me, it's just more of the connection. If she's in the town over from you and you're connected, go to her, or go to them. If they're in Japan and you have the money to go there, or I can teach you how to couch surf because I've done that before too, go go to them. So I think I met somebody here, a friend. She's single, and she's from the Philippines. And I asked her, "So what's your type?" And she goes, I love her answer. I don't really have one. Like just someone I can gel with. I think people are very focused on every relationship that I've ever had is one that I've never expected. I always would have these dreams in high school and college. I like this kind of girl. I would like that kind of girl. And then this person would show up and I go, cool, we connect. I mean, I wasn't expecting you, but it works for now. This is cool. This is great. So I think as long as you have that connection, I think that's the important thing in my book, and if they're in another country and you want to see them, go see them, and talk to them.
So forget about dating intentionally and forget about dating with the list. Just go and meet people. And then if you have that connection, then you delve deeper and see if there's something in the future for you both.
Yeah, I like to try to give people more value for their buck. Not that I'm getting any bucks, I'm just saying more value for your time. So I'll put this in a business perspective because people have been asking me how to connect to people in business. So a lot of young students, I coach students sometimes. A lot of young students, they graduate, they're applying everywhere, like dating, right? I'm single, I'm on the move, I'm on the app, I'm going everywhere, I'm talking to everybody, and they're trying so hard and they're competing with so many people and there's so many options, right? And when you're just being yourself and just going about your day and just showing the world who you are, people will see that. And instead of you trying to look for your wallet, when you're least looking, you'll land on the wallet. So one time I was in Japan as a single guy. I went on a couple dates with this girl. She was from China. She was pretty, but we had a language barrier. But I had no intention of like, let's go out, or you should go with me. But we were in the same group of friends, and I would be myself, and I would try to be funny and go karaoke and all this stuff. And she told her other friend, I think I like him. Do you think, she connected with us? And I had no idea. And we did have a good time a couple of times. The language barrier was too difficult. But I think there's nothing wrong with dating. There's nothing wrong with having fun. There's nothing wrong with meeting people. There's nothing wrong with that. You might meet some people that end up becoming your friends or becoming great people or have just a fun experience and good stories. But I think that when you just be yourself and just try things and just you don't need to go on the dates, sure, go out there, because if you just keep yourself at home, no one's ever going to find you. But you don't need to convince anybody, friend, business person, lover, to want you. You just have to find your audience. You just have to find your connections. There's always going to be people that have chemistry with you. It's not about changing people to have chemistry with you. It's just about turning different stones to find the ones that do. That's my take on it. So I think people try too hard to, hey, how can I get, even in sales, like I do, besides being a coach, I do real estate. How do I get this person to, just be you, and the right people will resonate with you. If you have to try too hard to keep somebody, or if you have to try too hard to win somebody over, I think I'm not saying persistence is bad. If you really like somebody, that's good too. But if they like you, they like you. I think it'll just click, in most decent cases, and so that's my take on that. I'm not saying it's not fun though. I think people enjoy dating though, and they don't enjoy it. I think there is a game to it. I hate to sound like that, but there is a element of a game to it. Life is kind of a game, but I don't think you have to be over analytical. I think one piece of advice I'd like to give to everybody that I just gave yesterday, that I think is important is that, and this is just me, humbly speaking, when I was dating a very toxic woman who was older than me, who took advantage of me and cheated on me 3 times, by the way, when I was younger, and really messed me up, she taught me something really good. She said to me, I was a very jealous guy. I was like, are we going to be together forever? Who's that guy you're talking to? You know, I was very insecure, right? And she said to me something I'll never forget. She said to me, Alan, we're going to have the whole afternoon together. I don't know if we're going to be together tomorrow. I don't know how long we're going to be together, but I do know we're together right now. Why don't you enjoy it? Because you're just spending all the time fighting with me. You're just spending all the time worrying. And we all have limited time on the planet. We all have limited time in every situation in our life. So why don't you take that time to enjoy it, good or bad, and like enjoy it, you know? And so I think a lot of people, including myself, spend time worrying, but sometimes you got to smell the roses, even if the roses die later, because, you know,
Right.
that's my take on it. That's my
Okay.
cheesy philosophy take on how to take the most from those experiences, you know.
Yeah.
So when you look back, you can go, it didn't work out, or it worked out, but that was, you know, I took the time to absorb the moment, you know, absorb the experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, with that, Alan, I will have to end the call, and thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom and for your ideas of dating in Japan and internationally dating, finances. How do you go about talking about finances with your dating partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatnot? So I will put all of your contact information in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time. And if anybody out there want to have a coach, Alan is available. He works internationally via Zoom. He can work with you and help you sort some of this stuff out. And for ladies out there, I'm always looking for lovely Asian women to meet my men who are my paying clients. My men are in the US, all over, they want to meet women all over the US, all over Asia. So if you know anybody, please fill out a profile with me at 2asiamatchmakers.com. Thank you very much, Alan, for your time. And thank you so much for waking up early to speak with us. So have a good day.
Thank you, man. Arigato.